Ahebi Ugbabe's story is truly fascinating and highlights the complexities of gender, power, and colonialism in Nigeria. During the early 20th century, she navigated a path that defied societal expectations and forged her own destiny. Ugbabe's journey began with her profession as a prostitute, a role that was often stigmatized in traditional societies. However, she transcended this label through her intelligence, resourcefulness, and ambition. She leveraged her skills in diplomacy and networking to establish herself a shrewd businesswoman, gaining influence and wealth in the process. Her rise to power as the ruler of Enugu Kingdom is remarkable. In a patriarchal society where leadership was predominantly reserved for men, Ugbabe boldly challenged these norms and asserted her authority. Her reign as a king was marked by a blend of tradition and innovation, as she implemented reforms and strategies to govern her people effectively. In the late 19th century, Ahebi Ugbabe was born in Umuoida, Enugu, Ezike, to Ugbabe Ahebi, a farmer and palm wine tapper, and Aneku Ame, a farmer and trader. She had no sister but two brothers. She briefly resided in Unadu with her mother's family before moving back to Umuoida. Later on, she was forced to flee to Igala land. Ahebi was fleeing from a decree that her father's transgressions would be atoned by her marriage to a female divinity. Igoma Ago was the name given to this penalty, to become the in-law of a deity. She was 13 and 14 at the time of a strange bad incident that her family had experienced. Trade was sluggish, sickness spread, and the farm produced little. Her father had visited a diviner, someone thought to possess knowledge of the unknowable. Because of his crime, this man had connected the happening to the goddess of Ohe's anger. Ahebi turned to commercial sex work during her first exile and made the most of it by forming alliances with strong men, including the Igala monarch and British colonial authority. She picked up a variety of language during her travels, including Igala, Nupe, and Pidgin English. Her accomplishments and self-reliance contributed to the Igbo culture's shift towards sex work for forced labor to a chosen occupation. Her ability to communicate in languages and engage in prostitution allowed her to gain favor with the British divisional officer and Ata Igala king, who not only made it easier for her to return to Enugu Ezike but also back her claims to the position of headman, warrant chief, and eventually Eze. A few months after her return from banishment to Igbo land, Ahebi commenced her reign. Ahebi took advantage of the British raid into Igbo land during that time by leading the British army into her homeland of Enugu Ezike. The only person in her village who could communicate with the British was Ahebi. She was made headman of the village by the British invaders as payment for her cooperation. The elderly headman Ugu Okegu, who was unable to communicate with the British, was replaced by her. She was promoted to the position of the warrant chief because of her effectiveness and unwavering allegiance, defying British legislation that barred women from holding political office in colonial Nigeria. The British district officer W.H. Lord described Ahebi was a lady of influence and power. She was intelligent and of a calm demeanor, and when she does speak, it was usually to the point of smart. With the help of the Ata, the ruler of Igala, Ahebi Ugbabe, rose to become king of Enugu Ezike, upending the gendered politics of her society and extending his influence to northern Igbo region. She outperformed all masculine political hierarchy and power by embodying feminine masculinities in her role as monarch. Despite her people's admiration for her, Ahebi sowed the seeds of discontent by enforcing forced labor, conducting a census, and enacting a British tax. Humans could not be numbered in Igbo society. The Women's War in southern Igbo land was brought on by this census. Because of the British support, Ahebi easily put an end to whatever resistance existed by her kinship. Initially, Ahebi accumulated wealth and influence, but she finally fell from grace when her community found her numerous transgressions, both gender and power, to be too much. She went too far in her ambition and broke even more custom when she showed up to a spiritual masquerade ceremony wearing her own mask. This was a rite exclusive to men. When Ahebi and the male elders went to court to resolve the dispute, the British took the side of the male elders, undercutting Ahebi's authority. Ahebi Ugbabe fostered an appeal in order to reinforce the idea of an all-powerful government. She promoted this mysticism and consequently authority by drawing on pre-colonial customs. She also exploited this to become king by augmenting her gender. Ahebi also demonstrated by her masculinity by taking numerous spouses, many of whom were escaped from violent marriages. She would also receive assistance from a number of servants. The offsprings of these wives would carry on Ahebi's lineage. King Ahebi Ugbabe held court cases in her palace while making money from the services. Women who had also been abused by their husbands escaped to Ugbabe's palace, who then became their female husband. Ahebi Ugbabe married wife for herself by paying their bride price. She then looked for men who had intercourses with these wives and claimed the paternity of the children by bow. She assumed the role of a man and named the children after herself with the fear that her people might not accord her a rightful burial. Ahebi Ugbabe performed her own funeral rites in 1946, 2 years before her death. Ugbabe's leadership wasn't without challenge, particularly in the context of the British colonial rule. She navigated the complexities of maintaining her authority while negotiating with colonial administrators, often employing diplomatic finances to safeguard the interests of her kingdom and people. Her legacy as the only female king in British Nigeria is a testament to her resilience, intelligence, and courage. Despite facing prejudice and skepticism, she demonstrated that women were capable of wielding power and shaping the course of history. Ugbabe's story serves as an inspiration not only in African history but also a reminder of the importance of challenging societal norms and pursuing one's inspiration against all odds.